Okay. So, BJ, sorry, you're the only one that's out there. Again, this is just a weekly webinar session to provide information that is easily digestible about the JAQX system. And this first one, this first presentation is an overview of the JAQX system. So we're going to go right into it. Oops, sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just moving a couple of things around here. Okay. So the JAQX system, this is basically an overview of how you should look at the JAQX system. Basically, the JAQX Smart Hub is the brain of the system, and there are three primary components to a JAQX system: the security portion of it, the home automation part of it, and the video portion of it. That's what makes a JAQX secured smart home system. It's those three pieces, those three core pieces, which make the JAQX system really unique in the marketplace. So let's get right into the first part of it. The first part is JAQX Smart Hub, and this is as I said, the brain of the system. And really, its history was designed by some really talented and smart engineers who had designed other security panels for Honeywell and GE and others. So if you walk into a home that has an ADT system, that has a panel on the wall, or some other panel, it likely may have been designed and developed by these engineers that designed this panel. And what they were really looking for was to take security into the modern age, where people are more and more using their smartphone device to control more and more of their life, including their home. And so this panel, which was initially designed as a security panel, took the need for that panel that's on the wall and put it into the closet away from the scene, because the belief was, and the belief that we have, is that a security system should be driven through your smartphone. But not just a security system. It's also a panel that has multiple different levels of communication, including a type of communication that allows for home automation, which really fuels the aspect of controlling your lights and your locks and everything else that a smart home does. And so with this hub, it's connected through the internet, and that's what's standard. That's what comes in every package. And the communication of the home automation is called Z-Wave, and we'll get into that a little bit more. The great thing and the unique thing about the JAQX system and the security aspect of it is that when the hub is talking to the security sensors, the door and window sensors or the motion sensor or what have you, it is on a radio frequency that has a proprietary encryption to it. It's a military grade quality encryption that really basically what it means is that it's virtually unhackable. Unlike some other systems that don't have encryption, or a very common type of encryption, which is what you may have been seeing with the likes of Simply Safe and even ADT. But again, this was developed by some of the smartest and most talented engineers, and they knew the importance of encryption in the modern day. Another aspect of the hub and the way it was designed is that the range of the frequency is one of the longest in the industry. It's about 1,500 feet, so it really it's virtually like a quarter of a mile. So a JAQX system is really conducive for homes of all sizes, including the biggest mansions that are out there. Now, because it is a radio frequency, the security aspect, and as well as the home automation Z-Wave, when you look for places to put the hub, you want to limit the amount of interference that can be created by it. So don't put it next to, basically what that means is don't put it next to a TV or computer or even a router. Now I know for those that are out there, you're saying, well, wait a minute, I have to connect my hub, my JAQX Smart Hub, to a router to make it work. Well, that's why we include a 6-foot Ethernet cable with the package. So you really utilize that cable if you can when you're setting up your hub. The JAQX system, the JAQX hub allows for up to 50 individual users, so you can not only have your immediate family, but your extended family, and even if you really wanted to, friends and others to have access to your system, which we don't advise. So you're saying, well, why would I need 50 users because I don't have a family that big or that amount of people that would want to utilize the system? Well, think about it from a small business perspective, and you have employees that you want to give access to the system. So that's why the 50 users is important as you go out there and look to promote this and sell this to potential customers. And then it also allows for 96 security zones, which again, homes and small businesses of all sizes can be protected. And not just homes of all sizes, but apartments as well. When I say apartments, the system is movable. So that way, if you are renting an apartment, you can still get a JAQX system, and you can take it with you when you move to your next apartment, or you upgrade to a condo, or upgrade to even a house. So again, you can take the system with you, which is virtually impossible with the modern panel-on-the-wall type of security systems. The great thing about this, the JAQX system as well, is that you can expand it at any time. It's very easy to do. Just buy more equipment and put it onto the system. Versus other types of security systems, you're required to call in professionals to tie the device to the system itself. The JAQX Smart Hub has a 24-hour backup, so if your power goes out, it will still be communicating to the central monitoring station, and you'll still be able to use it for up to 24 hours. And we'll get into that a little bit more. And as I said, it's for every year, so you can take it with you wherever you go if you so choose. So that's a quick overview of the hub and the system as a whole. The one thing I wanted to point out that's remaining on the JAQX Hub are the lights. These lights, as you get your system and as you talk about this and promote this to other customers, what you want to do is make sure they understand what these lights are. So what I wanted to do is take you through what these lights represent. So if you're trying to figure out what the status of your system is and what's going on, look at the lights. The first light is your power light, so if it's on and working, you'll see it pulsing green. If it's off, because you don't have any power to it, it won't be on at all. The second light is called the network connectivity light, and this basically means if it's a solid green light if the hub is getting an internet connection from your router. So if the router is putting data through to the hub, that light will be on. If the router is not putting data through to the hub, you won't see that light on. And that could be caused by primarily two reasons. One, you have the Ethernet connected to the wrong port in your router, or there's a firewall issue. And so what we would recommend in those cases, if you don't see that light on, is to reset the router itself and then have it come online again, and then you should get that connection with the hub. And also, we recommend when you install your hub, make sure you connect the Ethernet cable to the router before you put the power on, because usually that helps making sure that that forces the router to make the connection with the hub immediately. The third light is a central station connectivity light. So that basically means is that the data from your system is being pushed out to the interactive platform and ultimately to the central station. So they know. So if that light's on, you know that the professional monitoring company has access to looking at the status of your system and knows that when it's armed and disarmed, if there's a burglary or some sort of intrusion, if you have the alarm set. So it's really important that this light is on. The interactive connectivity light, that's that fourth light, you want that on because that's basically saying that it's talking to the interactive platform, which is what drives the control of your hub and your system through to the app, as well as your customer portal. So you want to make sure that that's light on, otherwise you won't be able to use the system itself through your app or your customer portal. And if that light's not on, you're going to want to contact JAQX customer support so we can make sure that we make that connection for you and make sure there's no problems with the platform itself. So you want these lights all on when the system first comes on. The next light with the lock, that's the arming status. That is basically saying, is the system armed or disarmed? It is disarmed if it's green, and it's armed if you see it red. And that's pretty straightforward. So while most people won't utilize the hub itself to determine what the status of your security system is, in the event that it's out there and you are using it as an indicator as to the status of your system, it's the green light or the red light. The next light is the trouble light. And the trouble light indicates that if it's on, if you see a light for that, that means that there's a trouble with the system. It could be a low battery, it could be a sensor that's in trouble, it could be a multiple different trouble alerts. More times than not, if you see that light on, you can go into your customer portal and even your JAQX app, and you'll see an indicator of a system trouble, and from there you can determine what the trouble is. It'll tell you if it's a low battery or if it's a failed supervisory sensor. Basically, it's not the system is looking, and the hub is looking for a specific sensor, and it doesn't see it. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But again, that trouble light is something to alert you, and more times than not, you can self-diagnose and figure out what the problem is and how to correct it. But that's what you can always call into JAQX support to help you along with that troubleshooting that. The next two lights are typically you're not going to see these on. One is the RF activity, so that's basically meaning that the sensor is being opened or closed, and you'll see that light blinking to the hub. So the hub's basically saying, yeah, that door or that sensor is being activated, it's being open or closed, or you're indicating motion or what have you. And then the last light is a system firmware update, which is the great thing about our system, is that it's constantly pushing updates to the hub to make it smarter. So unlike other security systems where it costs you money to get that upgrade, this is basically, it's just pushed out there, and you'll always know that you have the latest, greatest firmware, and making sure that that hub is the smartest it can be at all times. So those are the indicator lights, and again, familiarize yourself with that. These are really important because it gives you an idea of what's going on with your system and if it's working properly or if it's not working properly. So that's the JAQX system and JAQX Smart Hub. So let's get into the first component of the system, which is the security side of it. And as I was talking about before, again, the JAQX, this panel was really designed by some really smart engineers in the security space, and they really wanted to change the way that we think and how the customer thinks about security, and really primarily controlling everything in your security system on your smart device, either that tablet or smartphone, versus a panel that's on the wall. In addition to that, they want to make sure that a system was easier to install than what you would need from a professional installer, where someone comes in and configures your home and puts up all these sensors, and it costs a lot. Usually the equipment is a lot more, and the installation is very expensive. So our system is designed through and through to be easy to install. You do it yourself, or with JAQX, as you'll be hearing more and more about, a do-it-together approach. Others helping others to get the system up and running. And like with any quality security system, it has a 365, 24/7 professional monitoring system. It has a redundancy built in. It has received a number of awards. They monitor tens of thousands of customers throughout the country, and so they know what they're doing, and the system talks to them, talks to that monitoring company constantly, and will alert you immediately if there is any trouble within your system. The aspect of a security system that's being controlled through your smartphone is about getting real-time notifications and the ability to arm and disarm wherever you are in the world. So it's no longer about looking at what the status of your system is with that panel on the wall. It's all about monitoring your system, arming it and disarming your security aspect from your smartphone or your tablet or from wherever. So if you leave the house, no longer do you have to worry about setting the alarm or arming the system before you leave a house and then forgetting that you did it and having to go back or worry about the fact that you didn't set the alarm. You can always set it from wherever you are. It's a very convenient way of managing your security. And then we are the leader when it comes to guaranteeing the effectiveness of your system, security side. We have a 5-year warranty. And why we want to promote that is because we have that much confidence in the equipment that we put up there, whether it's this JAQX Smart Hub or any of the security devices. The equipment is revolutionary. It's very advanced, and we stand by it, and we feel it's on par with it surpasses basically anything that's out there. So that's why we have confidence in offering a 5-year warranty. Okay, so what goes into the security devices specifically for a JAQX system? The first thing I just really want to quickly go into are things called expansion cards. And the first type of expansion card that can go into a JAQX Smart Hub is a cellular card. Now, the cellular card is a great thing to consider having in the event that your power goes out and you lose internet connection. So while I mentioned that you have the JAQX Hub has a 24-hour backup battery, because it is primarily used through internet connection, if you lose power in your home, chances are you're also losing internet connection because of the fact that your router is connected to a power source, and that router probably doesn't have a backup battery. So if you lose power, you're most likely losing an internet connection, which means that you're going to be offline. So any functionality of your JAQX system, including your security, is going to be offline and not working. So the monitoring company won't see what's happening to your system. But if you have the cell card included in your JAQX Hub, if the power goes out, you still have 24-hour backup, and then it will emit a cell service, a cell signal of what's happening on your through a cell system, through what's happening in your JAQX security system. So you can still, your monitoring company will still see your system. You can still arm and disarm your system, and if there is an intrusion, the monitoring company will know that and will notify you, even if you've lost power. And additionally, a cell card is good to have because sometimes you'll still have power, but the internet goes out for whatever reason. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. So again, having that cell backup is a good thing to have. The second type of expansion card that we have is the Wi-Fi card. And really, this is another way. It's another internet connection, but it's using your local Wi-Fi network to connect with. So if you'd like to have a lot more mobility and put the hub wherever you want it, or if you're using it from a mobile basis, but you have an ability to have a connection to your local Wi-Fi network, this is an option for you as well. So those are the two expansion cards that we offer. The next thing that we also have are items called, or devices called, translators. Now what translators are meant for is for those customers that have existing security systems. And there's two types of security systems that we can take over. There's the wireless security system. In most modern day, if a security system was put in within the last 3 to 5 years, it's most likely going to be a wireless system. And if somebody has an existing wireless security system, we'll be able to take over most security systems that are out there. If the sensors themselves are made by Honeywell, 2GIG, GE, NAPCO, or DSC, we'll be able to take them over. And that constitutes, I want to say, more than 80% of what's out there in the marketplace when it comes to security systems. And basically what this does is you put this translator into the JAQX Smart Hub, and it'll basically translate the sensors of the existing system to the type of language that our JAQX system needs to know. So the way I like to think about these translators is that it's like C-3PO from Star Wars, which knows a lot of different languages, technical languages, and converts it to something that it can the end user can understand. In this case, the end user is our Smart Hub, and so it'll translate the language of your sensors. So we can take over a wireless security system. The second, and that's very simple, and it's anybody can do it. It can be self-installed, and you can follow the same type of activation instructions with the rest of your JAQX system. Now, the other type of translator we offer is a wired translator. Now, a wired translator is for those older systems that are connected literally by wires. So from the panel to the sensor, there's a wire that goes to the sensor. Now, this install is a little bit more difficult. It will require somebody who knows an alarm system to rewire the existing system to our wired translator. As far as, you know, if you have somebody that's familiar with it, it'll be a breeze for them to install this and to make that translation. The thing to realize about what the wired translator allows for is that it can translate. Each translator can translate 8 different sensors. So if an existing home has more than 8 sensors, so let's say it has 10 sensors, and they want to all be translated to the JAQX system, you'll need to get 2 translators. So again, so 8 sensors per translator. You can have an unlimited amount of translators, but you have to get a translator for every 8 zones or 8 sensors that you're trying to connect with. Unlike the wire translator, it can translate up to 96 zones because of what I said before. That can the JAQX Smart Hub can translate 96. Can hold up to 96 sensors. So this is unlimited in terms of you only need 1 wireless translator versus multiple wire translators, depending on the configuration of the house. So those are the translators. So now we'll get into what we call the intrusion sensors, and these are what most homes will have, and it's what we see most of our customers purchasing right now. So the first of which is the door and window sensor, and the door and window sensor, as you know, are the things that go in the perimeter of your house typically, like I said, the front door, back door, and some of your key windows. The thing that you should know about our sensors is that they are the smallest in the industry, and they're very easy to put up. You just peel it and put it onto the location where you want to monitor. Now, the great thing about being so small and so easy to install, it is actually, as we said before, changing the way of what you want to secure or monitor. And you can start thinking about things outside of door and windows. So think about liquor cabinets, think about medicine cabinets, think about your bedroom door or cabinets in your bedroom or safes or whatever. All of these things, while you can bypass them from actually being monitored by the monitoring company, so that way if somebody opens up your medicine cabinet, it's not as though that you're arming that and the monitoring company is going to call. It's just about knowing when that cabinet is being opened and when it's being closed unnecessarily. So thinking about aging in place, getting a system to monitor your elderly parents, you'll want to make sure that they're getting their medicine from the medicine cabinet on a regular basis, or keeping your kids out of your liquor cabinet. So it's a great way to monitor more than just what you typically think about with a security system. The next type of sensor that we have is the motion sensor, and this essentially monitors movement in the house, so more of the interior side of the rooms. The thing that people always ask about is, what about my pets? Well, this motion sensor can, if you have 2 60-pound pets or a single pet that's up to 85 pounds, you won't have to worry about being setting off the alarm if you arm it. It can detect that kind of difference between a human being and a pet. It has great range, so 44-foot range out from where the sensor is. So if somebody walks by within 44 feet, you'll be able, it'll pick it up, as well as it has a 90 degrees from left to right. So in terms of where, the perimeter, in terms of what it's monitoring. And it has a 68-year battery life, which is pretty long in the industry. The reason why that battery life is actually longer than other types of motion sensors is because some people may think that a motion sensor, when it's activated or it's tracking movement, a light will go on the sensor. Well, in this case, that's not what happens, because we want to conserve that battery life. But it will be picking up motion even if you don't see the light, and that's something that we have to educate our customers on, because sometimes they do think about seeing the light to make sure that it's confirming that there's motion. But in actuality, it's tracking constantly without the light going on or off. The next type of sensor, intrusion sensor that we have is a tilt sensor. And that tilt sensor really, its primary use is for garage doors, that if you want to arm and disarm and make sure that people don't open up that garage door, basically it gets triggered. In most cases, like a typical door window sensor, it's just open or closed. In a tilt sensor, it's about the angle that that opening occurs. So that's why I say most people put it on the garage door. And it starts to, if it's triggered, if it starts to go at an angle at 30 degrees or more, it'll trigger it being opened, and if you have armed your system, that will be, it'll trigger that alarm. And then the final intrusion sensor that we offer is a glass break. So basically what this type of sensor does is that you can put, if you have an area that is a window that you want to protect, or a screen door. Maybe it's a screen door that's all glass. Put a glass break there, and it will monitor whether or not it'll pick up the sound if that glass is breaking. Now, what we do recommend, however, versus a glass break, is if you have a living room that has lots of windows to it, rather than getting a glass break, it's a better solution to have the motion detector itself, because it can cover more range. Because with the glass break, it identifies sound breaking from 4 to 25 feet. But like I said, if you have a big living room with lots of windows, the glass break may not pick up those windows that are in the far distance. So that's why a motion sensor typically makes more sense than a glass break situation. But again, it's all dependent on the situation, the house, the configuration of the house, and what's going to work best. But we definitely want to be able to offer all the products security-wise that a customer may need to confidently and comfortably secure their house. So then the next item is a panic button, and what we offer right now is a panic pendant. Typically it is used as a medical pendant. It needs to be within range of the hub itself, and if you press that button, the emergency personnel will be immediately notified. It has a 4 to 6 year battery life, and it has a blinking light just to make sure that the user knows that it's working and the battery is in fact on and it's working properly. Now you may have heard that we're looking to launch and roll out a new medical alert type of solution that is more than just and much more robust than this panic pendant. And we'll have more details to share with that later on in the coming weeks. But for now, this is what we can offer in terms of a panic pendant or medical emergency type of a pendant for our customers. The next type of devices are what we call environmental devices, and the environmental devices are very simply is the new sensor called the Trident, and this is the flood and temperature sensor. It's really cool. It's state-of-the-art, has great range, 3 to 5 times more range than competing sensors. And basically what this sensor does is it'll detect liquid and it'll detect temperature extremes. So if you're in a situation where, like say in a basement, where I can attest to myself that I've had flooding in my basement, I didn't know about it until it was too late, and there was 6 inches of water in my basement. If I had this sensor, it would detect it, you know, right in time that I would have minimized a lot of the damage that occurred. And it's constantly monitoring, and you don't have to have your system armed for this to alert you when it detects a liquid presence or environmental extremes. And the extremes are 40 degrees and 90+ degrees, and that can be changed, configured to other types of temperatures, but the customer would have to call into us. So again, great type of environmental sensor, great for homes and small businesses. The next type of device that we have is life safety, and this includes our smoke sensor as well as our carbon monoxide sensor. Both of these sensors are being monitored by the monitoring company if you have them. So if they go off, the monitoring company will call you and make sure that everything is okay. The smoke sensor has a very unique photoelectric detection, which basically what that means in layman's terms is that if you burn toast or you're burning something on the stove, it won't set off the smoke sensor. It's more intelligent than your typical smoke alarm, which goes off annoyingly every time it just detects any kind of smoke. In this case, it knows when it's true fire-based type of smoke. And the CO sensor is great to have because it detects a great range of carbon monoxide presence. And again, the great thing about this is that it alerts you when these go off. So most people will have a smoke detector in their home, and the important thing to remind them is if you are not at home, you're not going to know if your smoke detector is going off. So not only do our smoke detectors alert you if in fact you're home because it's going off, but if you're away from home, you'll be notified, and the emergency personnel are going to be notified right away. And this is a true story. A good friend of the family had their entire house burned down a few weeks ago. And it went up in about 10-15 minutes, but they weren't home. And the reason why it went up so fast is because nobody knew that it was on fire until it was too late. In this case, again, having that kind of monitored smoke detection in that difference of just a few minutes can mean destruction of a very great range of damage that can occur. So those are our, and we have one more aspect, which is the accessories. And the accessories include what every package gets is that wireless touch panel. It's just another means to, like I said, we encourage most of our customers to use their smart device to control their system. But for those that want to have that additional, as soon as I come in the door type of device to see the system status and to be able to arm or disarm the system, that's what this wireless touch panel does. Another great thing about it is that it gives you various options to control your system. So if you hear a trouble alert going off, you can silence those through your touch panel. And we get a lot of questions about people who ask, how do I know my system is being armed or disarmed with this touch panel? Well, if the screen, as you can see here, if this screen is light, that means the system is disarmed. If it goes dark and black, that means the system is armed. So that's just another way to quickly understand what the status of your system is doing. And we have a mini version of our touch panel, which we call a pin pad, and this essentially is, again, just another way to arm or disarm your system. And that's really all that does. You can't tell what the system status is with the pin pad, but it just provides a convenient way to arm or disarm your system. So if you have kids at home, or if you want to take it with you, this is a great way. This is a great accessory to have. Likewise, the key fob does the same type of thing as the pin pad, as well as the touch panel. Primary purpose to arm and disarm and activate the panic in this case, and more conveniently sometimes than using your smartphone. So like the way you have your hands full of groceries, but you have your car keys, a key fob could come in handy. And lastly, we have the wireless siren. People ask us about the whether or not the JAQX Smart Hub makes noise. Well, yes, it does make noise, but it's not meant to alert you, especially if you're putting it somewhere like in the basement or a closet. What the wireless siren allows you to do is hear that active status audibly as to what's going on with your system, either be an alarm or a global chime that somebody's opening a door. And some people like to have that added convenience through an audio alert rather than getting notified on your JAQX Smart app. So those are all of our accessories, and that really that's what comprises the key components and the key devices of the security side of a JAQX system. And the one last thing I want to say about the security system is when we talked about taking over existing systems, the wireless or the wired security systems, we can take over most of the types of intrusion sensors. So like the door window sensors, the motion sensor, the glass break sensor. What we can't take over are those other types of devices I went through that we offer. The smoke sensor, the carbon monoxide sensor, the environmental sensors, those types of sensors, security devices, we can't take over. So if a customer has, in addition to those intrusion type of sensors, a smoke detector, you have to let them know that we won't be able to take that over, and they would have to purchase one of our JAQX sensors in order for it to be properly monitored and also to properly work. And likewise, as we'll get into with home automation, there are Z-Wave type of security devices, a Z-Wave door and window sensor or a Z-Wave smoke sensor. Those types of devices, while they could learn into our system from a home automation perspective because it is Z-Wave, they won't be monitored, they won't function properly as a security device on a JAQX system. So it's important to understand that when you're selling a JAQX system, and anybody that wants the security aspect of it and the security devices have to get the security devices from JAQX and only from JAQX to work properly and also to be monitored effectively with our monitoring company. So those are the security devices for JAQX. Now I'm going to quickly go through a key aspect of our home automation side of things. So as I said before, I've been throwing around the terminology of Z-Wave, and most of you, if you've been with JAQX for a while, familiarize yourself with Z-Wave. But if you're new to JAQX, Z-Wave is the communication protocol. Like security, it operates on a radio frequency, and it allows, if a device has a Z-Wave chip in it, we'll be able to learn that into our system. Z-Wave itself is a leader when it comes to home automation. It's been out on the marketplace for 10 years. It's been constantly improving. They're constantly adding more and more devices to it. Currently, there are thousands of products that are Z-Wave enabled, provided by over 450 companies. And like I said, it's a radio frequency that is operating on a very low energy type of technology. So it's not draining a lot of energy or power from the central source. So in our case, if you're working on a 24-hour battery backup for your JAQX hub, it's not as though it's going to drain your battery real quick like using an app on your iPhone that takes a lot of memory and burns through your battery life real quick. It's very low energy, so it doesn't require a lot of power to utilize and operate. Now, a Z-Wave network allows for up to 232 smart devices, more than enough devices in most homes, of most sized homes. Now, a lot of questions that we get is what is the range of a Z-Wave network? So the best way to explain this, if you visualize your JAQX Smart Hub at one end of the room, and the first the smart device that you have, it can, if there's no interference of any kind, it's just an open plan, open environment, it should reach within of 300 feet. So the JAQX Smart Hub on one end, the smart device on another is 300 feet. However, if there's any kind of interference, that could be a table, it could be a chair, it could be a counter, it could be a floor, a wall, a ceiling, what have you, that will severely limit the range of point-to-point within the Z-Wave network. So basically what we like to refer to as, typically in most homes, the range that you want to think about from point to point of Z-Wave device to Z-Wave device is about 30 feet, 30 to 45 feet. Now the great thing about Z-Wave devices is that they act as what we call repeaters. And that acting as repeaters allows for what we call a mesh network, which makes the network expand. So the more devices that you have in your house, the longer and stronger your Z-Wave network will be. And so basically, if you have the hub in one place, your next Z-Wave device is 30 feet away, and then the next device from that smart device is 30 feet away, and the device from there is 30 feet away. Again, so you can see it's called what we call the mesh network. It's just kind of like, it's all these different points. It's like a spider web, all connected at different points, and then all those different points are about 30 feet. And what the great thing is about the JAQX system, every night the system is optimizing that network. So if you're putting in a new device, you're making sure that it's connected to not only from the next great device, but the entire devices, all the devices as well that comprise of your network. Now, some people ask, well, if I have a Z-Wave network in my home and my neighbor has a Z-Wave network, can my neighbor activate my devices? The answer is no. Because the controller that you have is unique to you. It has an identifier. So your JAQX hub is only looking for identifiers that are connected to devices that are using that identifier. So a neighbor that may have a Z-Wave network won't be able to control your devices in your home. And when you're going out there, you may see products that on the packaging has, or on the device itself, a label called Z-Wave or Z-Wave Plus. Really, there's no difference between the two, other than the fact that Z-Wave Plus is the latest certification. So of making sure that it is in fact a device that can connect to a Z-Wave network. And typically, a Z-Wave Plus device is easier to set up or learn into a system. But basically, it's the same thing. I just would consider it the same thing. And what you're seeing is the Z-Wave Plus. You're going to see more Z-Wave Plus labels than Z-Wave devices, just because all the manufacturers of all the products are looking to make sure that they're holding up to the latest certification of what makes a Z-Wave product a Z-Wave product. So that's kind of the Z-Wave network. I'm not going to go into all of the types of different devices because that'll be a separate webinar. But basically, we're talking about Z-Wave devices are right now everything that you can think of: smart locks, the thermostat, the garage door, the plugs, the lighting. The great thing about having a home automation system that's on a single Z-Wave network is that it's all in one. You only need one app, and it allows you to test and try out new things on a single app in an all-in-one system. The reason why I want to point that out is because there's a lot of smart home devices that are out there. Think about the Nest thermostat, or think about like the Dropcam video camera, or what have you. A lot of these smart home quote-unquote devices aren't tied to a single hub or a single system. They're just Z-Wave devices. And a lot of times these products require you to download and literally control those smart devices through an individual app. Unlike a JAQX system, because it's all in one, you can bring in all kinds of Z-Wave devices and still functionally use it on a single app, your JAQX app. And the wonderful thing about having a Z-Wave network-based home automation system that JAQX allows for, well, we're always looking for the latest, greatest, coolest Z-Wave devices, smart home devices to sell to our reps and to our customers. It would be impossible for us to sell everything, because there's tens of, as you saw, there's thousands. There's going to be tens of thousands in 5 years of product. What we want to offer is a core system that gets people to familiarize themselves with Z-Wave and to test it out and then grow and expand, whether they get it from us or they get a product, a Z-Wave device elsewhere at a big box retailer. But as long as it's integrated with the JAQX system, that's what's key. And that's what we think is so successful with a JAQX system because of that. And we're constantly looking to improve our lineup as we go, so you'll see more and more smart devices coming online. The last thing I want to talk about is the video. And as most of you have seen, we've introduced some new cameras. All our cameras are internet-based, and what that means is that they require an internet connection to functionally work. Now, the cameras themselves aren't being communicated through the hub. They're communicating through internet, like our hub, to our interactive platform. And they have a special type of firmware inside the camera that allows it to talk to our platform. And then it connects to it, and then you can control it through your app or through your customer portal. People will ask whether or not the Dropcam or other types of internet-based cameras will work on the JAQX system, and the answer is no. You have to get one of the cameras that we offer because of that firmware that's in there. If you get a camera that's not one of our cameras that we offer, you'll have to use that independent app in order to control the video. And also, that camera won't be connected to any kind of scenes or events that are tied to your security system. The great thing about our cameras, they're the latest technology improvements in terms of its ability to record, its resolution. Each of these cameras have an SD card slot in it, so it will allow for constant recording. So that way, it'll allow you to always be recording, regardless of setting up different events or scenes to do so. However, and because of that constant recording is stored on that card, there's also an ability to store certain types of recordings up to our cloud server. And typically what those are based upon are events, alarmed events. So say you want to have a recording of the camera to be specific to if your burglar alarm goes off or a motion detector is tripped, causing the alarm to go off. You want the camera to be recording and have that recording stored on our cloud server, so that way it'll be stored and you can download it and you know exactly what that event was and see the video that goes with it. We're going to have a separate webinar on our camera, so I'm not going to go into great detail now on it. All I just want to let you know is that these are our newest cameras. The things that people are most excited about are our pan-tilt cameras, which allow you to scroll basically 360 degrees and then scroll up or down. So you get a lot of versatility and a lot of range with those pan-tilt cameras. So you can see a lot more with a single camera than our stationary cameras of our 1 megapixel stationary camera or even our outdoor camera. Each JAQX system can hold, each account can hold up to 8 cameras. Now, for up to 4 cameras at the price of your packaging. But if you have to go more than 4 cameras, so if you want to go up to 4 to 8 or 5 to 8 cameras, there's an additional $9.99 a month charge because it's using a lot more data, which is why we require that additional charge. But basically, for most people, most customers, they'll have less than 4 cameras, and the price is included in terms of the overall purchase package cost or the price of the camera itself. So that's it. That's a very broad overview, brief overview of the JAQX system to get you familiarized with what's what. As we move forward with more and more webinars, we're going to get more deeper into single subjects and single devices or the JAQX app or the customer portal. But before we got that deep on any one thing, I wanted to give an opportunity to explain how we see the JAQX system, how you should see the JAQX system, to better familiarize yourself with it as you talk to customers and other potential parties that are interested in understanding about what makes up a JAQX system. Really, when I say a JAQX system, I'm talking about what makes up a secured smart home. We use smart home not just on the basis of a smart home being something that you can control with your lights and locks and all those cool home automation features. A smart home in today's age, according to JAQX, has those 3 elements of security, home automation, and video tied to it. So I'm not sure who's still on the webinar, but this is my time. I know that I've gone over because I was late, but if anybody has any questions or would like to speak, now's the time to do so. Otherwise, I'll end the webinar. So let me just see if there's anybody. Looks like there's, let's see, there's like a few folks here. So anybody have any questions on what we covered off today? Anybody? All right. Well, again, I want to thank you for your time and patience for sticking with the start of this. Again, my apologies for that. I will be recording this, and this will be up on the JAQX network for future use. So hope everybody has a great day. If you have any questions, you can email me at cpoliquino@jaqxsmart.com. Everybody have a great day today. Take care. Bye-bye.